Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, and yes, it's another international break, the third one in 3 months, and just when PSG were starting to find some of their groove. Players heading all over the world again, long flights, dodgy pitches, and the usual injury worries. We'll go through who's been called up, what games they've got, and what it could mean when they're back in Paris. And not the most exciting part of the season, but still plenty to keep an eye on for PSG fans. Hey guys, so yes, international break again, the third one in 3 months, time and time again. We see our players go away across the world to play all of those games for their national teams. I'll be honest, not a big fan of this. I'd rather we just play PSG games. As much as I like a good World Cup or a good Euro, all of the qualifier and friendly games in the cold in November, we know it's like injury risks and like not really worth it in terms of the interest of the football. But anyway, here's what we've got for our own players. The interesting part is actually in Europe, where we're going to be tying up the World Cup qualifiers with a few interesting games that our players are going to play. So first, we've got France with Chevalier, Hernandez, Zaire-Emery called again, and Barcola, who are playing Ukraine at home in what should be the game to seal their qualification for the World Cup, and then Azerbaijan away from home in the games that, hopefully like no injuries there. Ukraine should be interesting because obviously we're playing against Zabarnyi, who's on the Ukrainian side, and for him, after France, he's going to be playing Iceland at home. Ukraine potentially could still qualify, so we'll have to keep an eye on that, and it's actually going to be an impact for them. Hopefully Zabarnyi can make it through. The other national team where we purvey a lot of players is Portugal. Vitinha, João, Neves, and Gonçalo Ramos have been called up. They play Ireland away from home to start with, and there too, that should be the game where they tie up their qualifier. And then they play Armenia at home in Portugal next Sunday, which should be a relatively easy one for them. Not far from that, we've got the big clash involving PSG players. Spain of Fabián Ruiz and Georgia of Kvaratskhelia are going to be playing against one another in Spain. That's the first game for both teams. Spain is very, very well positioned to qualify. Georgia, it's looking very complicated for them. But it's going to be a very interesting game, I guess. Spain has been doing really, really well. It's a very impressive team right now. So that could be a game worth watching. Spain will go on to face Turkey at home, and then Georgia will play Bulgaria away from home. And then finally, for the Europe region, I guess, we've got Mayulu, who's been called up with the U21 of France for Euro qualifiers. He's going to be playing Switzerland away from home, and then Faroe Islands also away from home. So some like not so nice traveling for Mayulu. And then, like for the rest of the world, all of the other confederations are actually playing friendly games because they're done with their qualifiers. The best one, which I like the most, is Brazil. Marquinhos was called up with Brazil, and they're actually playing their game in Europe. First one in Lille, in France, against Senegal. And then they go up to London to play against Tunisia. So at least like for Marquinhos, not big travels, playing in decent pitches, so that makes things easier. On the other side, his partner in central defense, Pacho, with Ecuador, is going to Canada to play against Canada, and then he's going to play against New Zealand in the US. So Pacho is going to be flying across the Atlantic, and the game against New Zealand, I think, is pretty late next week. So we'll have to keep an eye on whether he can rejoin with the PSG squad early enough. And then the last two, South Korea for Kang and Lee, they're playing in South Korea, so very, very long trip for Asian winger. He's going to be playing Bolivia first, and then Ghana, both friendly games. And then Russia, Safonov for substitute goalkeeper. Both games in Russia, they're going to be playing Peru and then Chile. So not too far on that one. And finally, like something else I wanted to mention, a couple of interesting, I guess, non-PSG games, so games not involving PSG players. The first one, on Thursday, England is going to be playing against Serbia. which England should have way enough to take this game, but they've been playing. The setup under Tuchel has been quite interesting, and it's a team that's worth keeping an eye on. They've got a very good squad, especially in midfield and in offense. I think that defense is always where it's a bit more of a problem, but they really put as one of the outsiders for the World Cup. So it's worth giving it a watch. Last time they played against Serbia, they beat them 5-0. So I do think there's a pretty wide gap between the two teams. But it could still be a game at least worth watching to get a sense of how England is doing, see them score some goal, and see how much we should be keeping an eye on them ahead of the World Cup next year. And then the second game I wanted to mention is Italy, who's playing Norway on the 16th of November. So in 5 days, so that's going to be Sunday at home in Italy. Same thing, Italy, they've been up and down in terms of form. It's not been a straight road to the qualifier. So I think this one is a little bit more of an immediate impact in terms of the qualifiers. And Norway obviously has a lot of talent with Haaland, with Odegaard, and so on and so forth. So it's an entertaining team to look at. So anyway, this is what we've got for this international week. A few interesting games. Mostly, we'll be keeping an eye on the PSG players and crossing our fingers for no more injuries, and so that our key players don't play too much and don't run out of form. But anyway, if you've made it this far, please drop a like on this video. Please let me know in the comment what game and what team you're going to be following and what looks interesting to you. And as always, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. We're this close to 500 subs. So this is the time. This is your call. Please do it. And don't forget, even in International Week, ici c'est Paris!